Mr.S.R.Nair, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm
Thank you very much. The pleasure is mine
yeah,
too. Yeah.
and I was thinking how to introduce you, whether as an entrepreneur, author, speaker, because you have done it all. And if you look at your Wikipedia page, I think that will take some time to introduce you. So,
You don't need to worry. One liner will do. You can say. You can say I'm a serial entrepreneur, adjunct faculty, a writer, and a mentor,
yeah.
an author and a mentor.
Uh, and
That will
I
do.
had the pleasure of attending a lot of your talks, and I must say that the rhetorical uh, proficiency that you display is quite profound.
Oh,
and
thank you.
and
You're using
I,
Shashi Tharoor type
no,
of
I'm
words.
actually
Profound and
I'm trying to speak like you, so uh,
okay, okay.
uh, and this is in the wake of the corona pandemic right now. And
Yeah.
so the thing is, there's a lot of uncertainty, and people
Yes.
are extremely worried globally because
Yes.
what the future holds is quite a big mystery. And
Yes.
so the, I think you would be the best person to really address the issue in terms of how to positively look at the whole picture and what it teaches us. The COVID-19 definitely teaches us a lot of things. And could you please throw some light on the aspects?
If you look at things in life, there are certain things which is in our control, and there are certain things which is not in our control. You see, typically, if you take the case of Kerala, we've had two floods, and now we have this coronavirus issue. These two floods were never in our control. We couldn't do anything about that. So, is this coronavirus or COVID 19 issue? But COVID 19 issue is a global phenomenon, global challenge, and a global problem. Now, the aspect about this is that if you could have controlled, or if you could have avoided, if you could have predicted, etc., are just conjectures. Okay. The fact is, it is a reality. It is right in front of us, and we are going through that. Okay. So at this point in time, if anybody is going to go on a blame game as to who started it and which country start, where did it start, and who had been, what were the leaders doing, and why wasn't the early cure not been found, etc., 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 are many questions and the many blames that we can put. But we need to really understand the reality that I, as an individual, my family, my home, my family, my society, my state, and my country, and the globe is going through with this. That is the reality. So at this point in time, I have to accept it as it is. It is there and it is real. Okay. Now, here, as much as possible, I must try to understand what it is. It's very important when we face something, a challenge that has come in front of you. The more you know about it, the more you will be able to manage it in the course of time. Okay. Now, this is where we have a challenge in our country, because out of 125 crore people, a good majority are in the bottom of the pyramid, and the reading, writing, or their understanding about things are very, very low. So they may say that it is God punishing, or this happening, or that happening, and they may not want to know as to why this has happened and how it can be taken care of, or how I can resist it to the extent possible. The most important thing here is to accept it. It is here, it is real, and we have to face it. So that is the first part of it. So once you understand, see, anything in the any challenge that is in front of you, when you accept it, you come to the stage of going to the next, or come to the stage of accepting it, takes you to the next stage as to how you can take care of it, how you can manage it. So coronavirus or COVID-19 is real. It is in front of us. We are seeing a lot of people being affected by this across the globe. Many people, more than 30,000 people, are dead across the world. Some countries it is exploding. In some countries it has exploded, and some countries it is slowly coming out of the explosion. And we are right in the middle. That is what we have to understand for the time being.
Yeah, and I read in your write up that a lot of people were expressing their concerns over this from all walks of life. You have your business colleagues talking to you, you have simple day to day So could you elaborate? What were their concerns mainly?
Yes, I'm part of many groups. I'm part of the Thai group that is entrepreneurs. I'm part of the KMA group that is management. I am part of the ISTD group, which is about trainers and professors and teachers. And I'm part of many other social groups such as Rotary, etc., etc. So I come across, I come across many viewpoints and many perspectives actually. And many of them express this openly, thinking that, okay, how others can be able to suggest to get over with that. The first thing that I heard in my Thai group is that, okay, yeah, the Prime Minister has said that we have to take care of our employees, and that's the right thing. But I'm going to be stuck. I'm going to be cashless. What am I going to do with a situation where I have no cash to pay the salary? That is for real. It is actually said by a SME person uh, who has never thought that such a thing is ever going to happen. They were actually kickstarting and progressing in life. So it was such a hit that they had faced. The another situation is where one of my mentee companies, executive, HR executive, who had just started his life, but he's on EMI, got married, has a kid, has a car, has a house for which EMI has to be paid. He said, "This is going to stop my salary. Now, how am I going to pay my EMI? I'm going to be a debtor forever, and I really do not know what's going to happen." So that was his concern. I just talked to my gardener who had come till last week, but he can't come any longer because of the lockdown that we have declared. And he said, "Saab, if it is going to be like this, मेरा तो रोजी रोटी कैसे चलेगा?" That is roji roti means daily bread, because if he doesn't work he doesn't get the bread that day. So roji roti कैसे चलेगा if अगर बंद पूरा पड़ा है, if it is going to close forever or for a long period of time, we'll be dead for sure. Now these are the questions that people have been showing, how to run, how to work, how will I get my salary, how will I pay my loans. How, in fact, one of my friend in real estate, he said, as it is, I am in the midst of all the challenges in the world, slowly thinking how to come out of it this, and this has come. I won't know how will I this huge interest and this installments. How will I pay? How will I pay? How will I pay my loan back? That is his worry, and all these worries are for real. And we know that these are real, genuine worries that people have, challenges that people face, and worries that people have. But now, if you're going to be taken over by the challenge in front of you, you're gone, you're finished. Okay. The question is understand the reality, where you are, and what is this calamity, and how I will be able to come out of this calamity, and what is the time frame of that, and other technical aspect of that. So at this point in time, I'm sure because social media is very strong, multiple forms of social media happening, some of which are fake and many of which are good. Okay, many of these are very soothing, very positive, so that at least we feel that there is still hope of overcoming this. So that way, social media is very good. Think of a scenario in 1918 when they had the Spanish flu, and how these people would have communicated between each other. It would have been much more horrible. But today, at least wherever you are completely isolated, you are quarantined, but you're connected to the world, isn't it? So that is there, and many of that very positive news. So you need to try to understand as much as possible about that, and then start making certain level of thoughts, which should in turn become some part of a plan. Okay. Now, in this, don't think for yourself alone. Don't think for you or your company or your family. How will I come out of this? Because I think all of the entire world is in it together. All of us are facing. So you just cannot think of a situation of me trying to come out of it. That is not going to happen. It will happen only when practically one by one, and later the majority comes out of it. Only when we will be able to actually get going and then try to solve it and get out of the hurdles that is in front of us. So that is what we need to do. We need to first of all try to understand this, try to understand its duration, try to understand the trends, try to understand what people are saying, try to understand what is the cure, and try to see whether those things that is being predicted are happening, and then there is hope. I the one thing that I have learned from lots of experts, both medical, epidemiologists, statisticians, economists, and all these people, is that definitely we will get over with this. But how long it may take? The last that I read, which I found it very soothing, is it is 2 quarters. That is means Jan, Feb, March, and April, May, June. So maybe by about July time frame, every country would have gone through the first wave of hit, to the extent that maybe a herd immunity could start thereafter. A herd immunity could start thereafter, and probably June July time frame is where if you're in business or if you're in employment, that you can come back to some level of a work or some level of an activity. Okay, so that's pretty long a time frame, because we are in March, April, May, June, July. So something close to about 3 months, about 90 days plus. We need to really face it. But hopefully, as days pass by, if you're able to see the trend, and we are seeing the positive trends, then hopes are more, and probably this 3 months could be shortened as 2 months or 45 days or 1 month, etc., that we can come out. At this point in time, we are isolated, we are locked down. We have to ensure that we break the cycle and we do not become the part of the COVID-19 spread cycle. And that's the best that we can do. And then maybe spend your time positively, thinking about better things in life, thinking about the positives that has happened out of it, etc.
As a community and as a government, what would be the first sets of steps that would be taken?
See, I think I am generally a sort of a anti-established type of a person, whether this party or that party or any party, because I try to look at things from a humanitarian perspective, or at best or at worst an individualistic perspective. So there are many things that may not satisfy me. But then I must say that the entire world did not know that this is going to be this hard and this harsh. Okay. Now, after having understood that, and after slowly realizing that this is what we are going to do, many governments are doing what is possible by them to curb it or to manage it. From that perspective, Government of India as well as Government of Kerala, I would rather want to give more credence to Government of Kerala efforts from the day it has happened, and thereafter the Government of India efforts in trying to manage and trying to get over the situation. I think from a perspective of food, the country has sufficient food availability. That is not an issue. The issue is how to reach it out to the people, particularly people belonging to the bottom of the pyramid. And that is where I think something has gone wrong, because when they started declaring it in a hurry that we are going to close down, little did they think that, okay, from tomorrow onwards there may not be food for these people. Okay, so that those things, it has taken time. By then, these laborers and these unskilled labor who had been available or clustered and concentrated in cities like Mumbai, Delhi, or Gurgaon, Noida, etc., they started looking at a very bad picture, and they all want to run away to their home, and which is very far away. So now I think the Government of India had said that, okay, the borders has to be closed and people have to come back, and the state government had been instructed to ensure that, okay, they are fed properly. And I'm very sure that with the availability of food around, it could be done. But only thing is, how do we manage the movement? And in these sort of things, there are small skirmishes, like, some state will close their border to you, so you may not be able to get your food across to your side. Particularly if you happen to be the last state in the country, like it's like Jammu Kashmir up there, we here, and another place on that side, etc. These are all called the last part of the country. And if some state or some highway gets closed in between, things won't happen. So we could actually face some logistics issues. But I'm sure people have that level of goodness in them to understand that, okay, fundamentally it is like this, See, you saving the day for you is not going to help you, because if the other guy's day is not saved, your day is not saved. Okay, because unless and until the person who is living next to you, the person who is serving you, the person who is around you is also as capable as you, by removing the hurdles and by getting over the disease and by having food to eat, that you can actually get going. Singularly by you and your family alone cannot take care of it and say that, okay, I am saved. Such a situation will not come. But I'm sure governments are learning, and they're learning very fast, and they're ensuring that food is made available. There are logistics issues, but I'm sure that these people, the authorities and the regulators will do their needful to see that it is taken care of.
And Mahatma Gandhi always said India is an agricultural, and there's a stigma about farmer. And if the dignity of labor in farming was instilled at a very young age, each state has got its unique culture and unique methods of farming. Right now, the agriculture has gone down because even in Kerala, when all the paddy fields are gone, and then we had surplus of rice, and now we are depending on rice, even rice and basic. Exactly. So do you think this would be an eye opener for and respecting the farmers? Because without farmers, we don't have food. We'll all die. And people are even a farmer's son. The farmer wants him to become better in life, and
An
he's
engineer, an engineer, a doctor. He doesn't want his son to till the
and
field, plow the field. Actually, yes.
I have a feeling it's
Because
not
yeah.
because of his fault. It's just that the society, as a large unit, doesn't respect the farmer enough. If he was getting respect, he would definitely want his kids to be like a doctor would want a son to be a doctor, daughter to be a doctor.
Yes.
So, what do you think? Do you think people will open their eyes after this?
See, this farmer issue I'll touch a little later. But let me tell you, if we are at least intelligent enough or base level of intelligent enough, we should understand that COVID-19, this coronavirus outbreak, is a game changer, not for you and me, but for the country and the world. Okay, a lot of things that we have been doing, okay, we may not do. A lot of things that we did and we closed down, we may restart, and a lot of things that we may do completely new. Okay, so that way, if you look at it for life, for business, for management, for everything that you come across, it is going to be completely game changer. There is no doubt about that. Now, coming back to the farmer, yes, unfortunately, see, the farmers happen to be at the village. Okay, that is where they're the last. Like I said about states like Kerala being the last in the count. A farmer, a village start, he's the last in the count of a place, actually, a thing called a place. Now, where he will plow his field, and many often he's on the vagaries of the monsoon, he's on the vagaries of the water, he's on the vagaries of the government as far as fertilizer subsidies are concerned, he's on the vagaries of the bank as far loan is concerned. So there are so many things that is not in his control, and so many things that he may hope that it would happen, it may not reach. So as it is, one, he is in the village. Two, education levels are not that very high. Three, the facilities and the resources doesn't reach him properly. Four, there's a lot of red tapeism and there's a lot of last mile connectivity issues. All this put together has done in the farmer. Okay, states and places which have been growing large quantity of rice, wheat, etc. Still, there are states and areas which is doing that, but many of them, particularly when it comes to cash crops and things like that. Okay, if you really look at it, many of them stopped doing that agricultural activity. Okay, and they said, okay, agriculture is no, it is chichi. Okay, I would like my son to be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer. I would like to have my son in a city, in an urban setup. Okay, I would like to him. I'd like to see him having a car. I would like to see him going for a tour. I would like to see him speak in English. Okay, I would like to see that. Okay, he is wearing best of the best dresses, etc. So that aspiration, particularly that he see in the urban folks, he would like his son also to be undergoing that. And his position being bad, his financial position, his social position, his economic position, and the place that he is in the last part, that is the village district, has prompted him to think that this is not going to help. And that really had been a real setback as far as the country is concerned. Now, I'm trying to connect this with what I was telling, the game changer aspect of it. If we as partners, see, MS Swaminathan had been able to actually bring in a green revolution in the country. Okay, if you see Punjab, which has actually crossed the world record in the wheat production, okay, post independence, okay, they did that in a field which is full of gravel, okay,
Oh,
because if you really look at it, the other today what is called Pakistan, okay, the West Punjab, the Pakistan was the real Punjab, Lahore, and okay, and there are 5 rivers flowing through that: Jhalam, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, Satluj. and the Sindhu, okay, Indus, okay, and that was the most fertile area. But when the partition happened, all the rivers went into Pakistan, and these Sardars and the Hindus, they flowed out of that place into Indian side, that's the East Punjab. And East Punjab was full of gravel. It was not a fertile land at all. So within today, now it is 70 years, something close to about 30, 35 years back, we have crossed that and we have become number one wheat producer in that place. They simply by hand, they picked up the gravel, removed it, they plowed the land, they fertilized it, they gave water to the land, and they cut and made a record production of wheat. Okay, that is exactly what has happened. Now, if that could happen, of course, by the scientists who had been able to lead them properly, Professor M.S. Swaminathan. Now, I'm saying that, okay, I'm sure some Messiah would come and take us back to agriculture. Okay. Now, in agriculture, what is it that you want to actually produce, or what is it that what you want to cultivate? You can't, a person in Kerala cannot, of course, cultivate apple, but he can cultivate bananas, So that's a difference. So the freedom of doing the agriculture, the cultivation should be given to him. It is unto him to you can't tell him this is a paddy field, you can't grow banana there. You can't tell that, okay, this is a banana field, you can't grow this other mango tree there. So I think whatever is his whatever he feels, or because of the place and because of the availability of resources, he should be allowed to do that. We have cardamom, we have rubber, we have bananas, we have ginger, we have the black pepper. All that is there actually. So we should go back to that, and there should be some leadership, and the leadership and the facilitation by the government and the banks should ensure. So today, so for instance, the government said 172 crore, sorry, 170 lakh crore rupees had been sanctioned. That is sort of a bounty that the government has declared after the closure. Now that means it's a bad time and they've done that. Now, so why can't the government say that we are going to actually spend, okay, a lakh and 70,000 crore, that is 1,70,000 crore, okay, rupees for agriculture, to renew, to modernize, to help the farmer to overcome the difficulties and get going. So those level of game-changing policies has to happen, and I'm sure this is an opportunity for the government, the regulator, and the farmer. And post-COVID or post-corona, we should be able to actually have this sense of doing the right thing as far as agriculture is concerned, and also start giving the respect to the agriculturalist who is actually bringing us the food to eat. The first part of the roti, kapda, makan, the primary need, roti, right?
Yeah. And plus,
Yes.
I remember in the earlier days when somebody visited another house, you can't call it barter, but they would take the produce. Somebody will have coconuts. When they come to the other house, they'll give coconut. These people, they might give bananas on their next visit. So even barter system was such a beautiful system where people could whatever they produce, and there was a lot of love and affection. And when the farmer gives something to you and you give something back, and
Because in that there is this element of give and take. See the goodness is in giving, the good, and the gratitude is in taking. So both are the most positive elements of life. Okay, giving and taking with gratitude. Okay, giving happily. Now that used to be there. So let's say you had a jackfruit tree. Okay, there are 4 jackfruit all ripe. What will you do? You will eat all the 4. You will give one to the neighbor. One you will actually pack it and send it across to your chacha or your uncle who is 10 miles away. Okay, and he, by the time mango time comes, pluck all the mango and put it in a cover and send it to you. Okay, so that has always been there. I think we may have to go back to those give and take days, the days of those good sections. See, we had two floods one year after the other. The first flood was so bad, and the second one also was bad. Okay, so we combined our strengths, particularly the youth of Kerala. They really jumped out at the opportunity and helped as many number of people as possible. Got the money collected together. We ran shelters for months together and saw to it that everybody went back to the home. Okay, people who didn't have home, houses were constructed. Lots of charity happened. Okay, but then it stopped at that. Okay, it stopped at that. So the second flood came. So again, that my goodness. Okay, they started getting into the activity again. Okay, and come third year, Now it comes in the larger form, the COVID, the unseen enemy. Those enemy, the other enemy could be seen and it was flowing. This unseen enemy is happening. So we need to understand that continuously, this is the third year in succession that we are undergoing this great difficulty. Okay. It is time for us to stay together. It is time for us to work together. It is time for us to have that empathy factor. Most important thing, empathy factor. I think our state need to have two emotions. One is a positive emotion, the other is an empathy emotion. Positive because we need to look at things from a very positive aspect. You can't say, oh, COVID killed that person. COVID ensured that my business got doomed. COVID made me a pauper. COVID made me bankrupt. Okay, COVID made me lose my dear ones. Yes. Okay. Now, if I'm going to sit with that, the good thoughts will not come. Okay. See, just look at it. By default, a human being, by default, is not a happy person. Okay. For example, you sit idle or sit alone for about 10 minutes and start thinking. By the 10th minute, you would have become very serious about something, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens. You don't get into a laughing situation. You don't get into a very positive situation. So we need to have double efforts. It's not single effort because we need to break that by default sadness or by default non-happiness. Okay, and we need to improve on that. So it's a double effort actually. A double effort is required to come to become positive. Okay, in spite of the challenges we have that we are undergoing, the losses that we have had, both in terms of money and in terms of resources and people. Okay. The second is, I have suffered a lot. You didn't. Okay. My worry and my challenge and my suffering was larger than your suffering and your problem. Okay. This is because what is in our mind is what we think. And what we think is all about us. My thought is around me as a person or my people as a family. Now, if I start thinking that it is me and my family, your suffering and your challenges were nothing or next to nothing, then the empathy will not come. So you need to have empathy. Empathy is looking at things from the other's angle and giving him that level of that level of a consideration and then combine together. So positivity and empathy, without which we may not be able to overcome this. So togetherness, most important. The third year in succession that we are undergoing this difficulty, and if we are yet to learn that we need to be together, we are doomed. So togetherness, okay, positivity to understand that okay, we need to think fresh because negative thinking will produce a lot of toxic elements inside our body that is going to take away our immunity. At this point in time, the most important thing that you and I must have is immunity. So that is, because you should not allow the toxic secretions to happen. Those endocrine juices coming in, it should not come out at wrong places at the wrong time, which will hurt us badly. So the positivity has to be done. So togetherness, positivity, empathy. So these are the elements that we need to bind us, and then start thinking. One more thing I must say. See, I had visited some societies where the democracy is very high. Okay, so for instance, I just went to one of those denominations where I found that everybody needs to have his say in the running of that congregation. And I found that person who was managing that, the highest person, finding it so difficult to answer and finding it so difficult to get a synergy of the complete level of ideas that is coming in. So they have taken days and 15, 20, 30 days to decide on something which in normal case could have happened in 15 minutes. Okay. So that has happened. So this is a typical problem with democracy. I am not saying that we need to be autocratic. I am not saying that we need to have military precision. I am not saying that we should behave like China. I am saying that in the time of difficulty, we should be disciplined to understand what are things that is required and who has the competency and experience to lead us. Who has the authority, competency, and experience? Because authority is a very important thing. Who has the authority, experience, and competency to lead us? And you may be knowing many things than him, but give it to him to run us. Okay, because if we don't do that, if we are not disciplined enough to understand that, again we are back to problem. Okay, a place like Kerala, we have a little difficulty in terms of managing opinions and managing suggestions and managing personalities. I think this is where every individual must see. One is the law. Second is the authority. Okay. Third is the competency. Okay, and the leadership. And if they say that we will be able to, you may know better, but let them manage it. You can always suggest a thing or two. based on your experience and your knowledge, and say that they will incorporate that. I'm very sure. So I think that is very important. So togetherness, positivity, empathy, discipline. So these are the elements that actually can make us progress actually.
When you just mentioned about togetherness, empathy, and right now about managing the show, and everyone has a word. Um I've known you for a while, and then I've always noticed your ego. You manage it very well. As in, your heart is always open to suggestions, and you are a very you are a very qualified person, very eloquent speaker, all that. Plus, but the thing is your simplicity. In our country, I see ego is one thing that we have to master.
Right. See this. See, because if you really look at it, from time immemorial, they were kings, they were invaders, they were the colonizers. Okay, all these people were together, and they for ages together, for years together, for centuries together, they ruled us. Okay, and then they said this power and this authority is vested with me by my hereditary being. Okay, so that is now. See, we just listen. There's a wonderful book written by John Naisbitt, which is called Global Paradox, in which he has mentioned that, as he was mentioning this somewhere in the 80s, early 80s actually, and he was telling this as a century rolls over, though democracy is the best form of management of society. Okay, a challenge would come because all of us are practicing representative democracy. So we will have an MLA representing us, or an MP representing us, or a village councillor representing us. So he will, once he is elected by us, on behalf of us, he will take a decision. That is his decision. He may consult us, he may not consult us. So this is called representative democracy. Today, what we follow in the country is representative democracy. But what has happened to us in the last 15, 20 years? We are with social media, we are with WhatsApp, we are with Instagram, we are with Facebook. Okay, we have a possibility to give at least 2 to 3 opinions using 2 to 3 vehicles actually. I can put my opinion here, I can put my opinion there, I can put my opinion there. I can go reach out to the Prime Minister. If it is a Twitter, I can reply to him. Okay, Twitter, I can reply to him. If it's a WhatsApp, I can reply to him. I can get across to anybody and leave my suggestions behind. So, what has happened? People are now wanting to move away from representative democracy to participative democracy, that they would like to participate in everything. And participative democracy is a very, very tough proposition. That's what I said. One congregation where I went, this particular person was finding it very difficult to get every participant to be managed together for a synergy in decision. But that is the way the world is now built up, with the social medias and with the communications and all that is available, and we can instantly, in nanoseconds time, we can communicate that. Okay. You were asking me a question on the ego. I was telling about technology and time. Why I said this is, see, we need to understand that, okay, I don't have any hereditary power vested with me. Okay. When you and I came together, let's say in ISTD, and I was an office bearer, you selected me, so I am representing you. Okay. As its president or chairman or whatever that is. So it is my interest to protect your interest, because your interest was that I should be selected to protect your interest. If I don't give a value for that, the moment I said that I had now become the Mantri Ji, and I had become the governor, or I had become the Raja and the king and the powerful, no, I don't have to worry about him. And that is the challenge. Okay. There is some element of a thing called a servant leadership. Okay. I don't typically mean that the people whom I represent are servants. Okay. I mean, I am the servant of my people. It is in his happiness that I must find my happiness. Okay. At the same time, I must also tell you, because that is one side of the story. The other side of the story is, there are many instances, you also must have seen me actually using that authority that I have as the president also. So it is not that I give ample opportunities to people to flourish, to give their opinion, to manage them, to be empathetic to them, to hear them out. At the same time, when it comes to a decision, I must take a decision. I can't be holding this decision. Okay. So you also must have seen me in using that opportunity. But the only thing is, when I take the decision, I look at what are all the information and knowledge that I have about that. Okay. Whose interest I am trying to protect. These two things actually help me take a decision. That's the way it goes. I believe that's the way it should go around. Okay, particularly when you come to a participatory level of a democracy, which is the way world is actually going into now.
I think the more you learn, the better you understand your state.
Absolutely, absolutely. The more you learn, the better
Yeah,
you understand. And the more you do, the more you learn.
exactly. And
The more
the
you do, the
more
more
you're
you learn.
open to ideas and suggestions, your vessel becomes more bigger, fuller.
Indeed. See, the fact, see, actually speaking, there is an ego in everybody to say that, what I think is the best thought, or what suggestion that I give the best suggestion, or my opinion counts a lot. That's what every one of us think. But when you really sit down and hear, just overhear people speaking, you will realize that, my goodness, so these people have much more knowledge, much more awareness, much more competency, and I must actually learn from them. And today, actually, you can learn from anywhere, anyone, anywhere. That's the level, it doesn't say it is your peer, or which is a guru, or which your masters. You could learn from anywhere. And then time also is a factor using which you learn.
Yeah.
Actually, yes.
And one more thing, right now we are worried about the corona, and there are a lot of such time bombs ticking, like your global warming. And what
Yeah.
we often do is, even as we speak about the corona, there's a lot happening in the polar caps melting and water levels
Yes.
rising,
Yes.
and
Yes.
a lot of cities and towns are predicted in the next 10 years there'll be a lot of couple, yeah, exactly. So
The cities will get sunk. Actually,
ah
yes.
so I think this is also a time when we should actually look at the futures. I mean, there's a lot of we know global warming is real, and so shouldn't we be acting right now?
I think we should have acted day before yesterday, not even right now. We should have acted much
Yeah,
behind, actually, in those times. But unfortunately, the world think differently. Even today, if you really understand about the United States situation, the president says that by Easter it should be we should open up the entire state and country, notwithstanding whether the corona had been contained or not. Because he says, the business doesn't happen, this country is nowhere, because America always had been the top of the world because of its financial and business acumen and capabilities. And if that goes away, the country is going to docks. Okay, so he realizes that. So now he says that whether corona is there or not, it should be business. No, so when you look at purely on the business factor, you may close your eyes to the coronas of the world. You may close your eyes to the solar melting. You may close your eyes to the ozone depletion. You may close your eyes to many other things. I think that is where the balance in understanding. See, I think when we leave behind, when we go away from this place and leave behind this planet, the house, to your son and children, okay, you should actually hand over at least a inhabitable planet to them, for sure. And if you, and otherwise you're selfish, because see, everybody takes pride in having their progeny around. That is your continuation. That is your signature continuing. So if you want to have your signature continuing, you must actually leave behind an inhabitable planet. That is something, that is a need of the hour. That was a need of the hour 2 years back, 3 years back, 5 years back. If the world leaders do not understand that and still say that, okay, this is business and this is the way profit, and that only lead to power and maybe betterment, then there are challenges. So I'm not sure, but I hope and pray that better sense will prevail to many of those leaders, and then they will take a decision in favor for the planet.
and to conclude, would you like to add a few points?
See, it's like this. As I've told you, you need to understand what it is. What is this animal COVID? You need to follow it regularly to see that where we are, what is the trend, etc. You also need to have positivity with all the losses that you're bearing and you're undergoing. Positivity. You need to understand others' agonies. You need to also understand that, unless, see, me getting cured of corona alone will not save me. It is my neighbor and my society getting cured of or getting rid of corona that will save my society and the country. Okay, that is on one side of the understanding. The other side of the understanding is that, don't only think in terms of you. See, I just recently, I'm not naming that company. My son-in-law works for them. He received a communication from his chief executive officer that, notwithstanding whatever, whether you are working or not, we will ensure that your next 3 months of salary is paid. Okay, so that has given him it has soothed his worries. Okay, now how many of us can look at the eyes of our employees and our neighbors and the people who are dependent upon you and say that, don't you worry. Okay. Now, this don't you worry can happen only when you have the cash available with you. If you don't have the cash, you may have to go to the bank, because that is what this 1,76,000 crore money is actually made available. That is what the 7.75% repo has been actually brought up. Repo rates have been brought down. That is why the 3 months of loans have been deferred. That is why the installments need not be paid. So all that has been made available to you. So in this, you think that, okay, good, all that is there, but I'm not going to avail it, because that will make me poorer and become a loan-taking person. So let me not give a salary. Because see, some of those people when I was talking to, says, "Sir, I will give it in this month. Next month, I don't know." I said, "Why you have no?" But I no business. Sir. I said, "That is what the bank had said. That is what the country had said." Then I told him this, and I asked him, "Imagine a situation that Corona is killing all of us. Imagine a situation that Corona is killing all of us. You said that you have about 5 crore or 10 crore or 20 crore or 30 crore rupees surplus in the bank, in the FD, in the gold, in the form of building and gold. Okay, all that you have. What is the point of that money and that asset being there when you are not there?" So you have to understand, for you to be there, your brethren, your neighbor, your employee, and the people who depend upon you has to be there, have to be there. If they are not there, you are not there. Okay. So this is something, this is going to be a challenging thing. A man will not take a loan to pay a salary. There has not been a history of people taking loan to pay the salary. There is no history. But these are trying times. Trying times needs that level of desperate measures are required to overtake that. Please understand.
Yeah.
Tough times will not last. Your toughness of mind, not toughness of behavior. Toughness of mind actually will last. Okay. See, we always use this phrase called, "I had been there and done that."
Yeah, exactly.
Both of us could now say, "Guys, we have been there and done that."
Yeah.
So that is what is experience and that is what is learning.
Exactly.
So that is again a positive. Let us live on that.
Yeah.
That is a hope.
That's a hope.
That is a hope and aspiration. And I think this too shall pass.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Thank
you very much, and
all the best to you.
Yeah.
Any time for you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good night. Bye.